If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you recognize those moments where you walk into a room and notice that something has changed. That feeling, that energy that shifts the instant you arrive. The conversation that was happening suddenly takes a different direction. The person who was closed off somehow opens. Something that seemed stuck begins to move. And you didn't do anything, didn't say a word. You simply showed up. Most people dismiss that. They call it coincidence, an impression, something too subjective to take seriously. But what if there's a real mechanism behind it? What if your simple presence, the quality of your attention, the internal state you carried into that room, is a force that alters what's around you in a way that physics has spent over 100 years trying to explain? Because in 1801, a British physicist named Thomas Young conducted an experiment that seemed completely simple. He took a light source, placed a barrier with two open slits in front of it, and projected the result onto a wall on the other side. What he expected to see were two beams of light, one through each slit. What he saw was an interference pattern, waves crossing, as if the light had passed through both slits at the same time and interfered with itself. Unsettling, but it is still possible to explain away. What made this experiment impossible to ignore was when scientists repeated it in the 20th century, this time with electrons, one at a time. A single particle, alone, with nothing to interfere with, and still it created that wave pattern, as if it knew there were two slits and passed through both simultaneously. Then scientists placed a detector to observe which slit the electron passed through, and the pattern disappeared. The electron went through one slit only. It behaved like an ordinary, predictable particle, with no mystery. The act of observing changed the behavior of reality, not the equipment, not the measurement, the observation itself. To understand this better, I want to take you back to the beginning of this video. Think again about that moment where you walked into a room and something changed without you doing anything. The same thing is happening, just at different dimensions. Maybe it's not so hard to explain after all.
Welcome to the Quantum Observer Paradox. Today you will finally understand this phenomena.
Give a like and subscribe if you liked the video.
What quantum physics discovered about the behavior of subatomic particles may be the most important mechanism nobody ever taught you about how you affect everything around you. Every conversation, every environment, every person who receives your attention or who doesn't. What comes next explains why some people transform the spaces they walk into, and why others spend years without understanding why nothing around them ever seems to move. Stay with me until the end to understand this observer's paradox. Now let's get to today's highlighted comment. Can you tell me if knowing you don't want what you have in life personally and professionally, but not knowing what you do want, is the beginning of a transition or something else? This question touches the very first stage of a quantum transition. It's the moment when the system knows what no longer serves it, but can't yet see what comes next. This happens because the old state is entering decoherence, but the new one doesn't exist yet. It's a naturally undefined phase, the space between patterns, where consciousness releases the old before it can reach the new. So yes, you're most likely in a state of quantum transition. Thank you for the question and for sharing your experience with us. If you're watching this and you're also in a phase where nothing makes sense but the old no longer fits, share it in the comments. In upcoming videos, we'll keep responding to real questions like this one. What Thomas Young discovered in 1801 took on an even stranger dimension in 1978 when physicist John Wheeler, one of the greatest theoretical minds of the 20th century, the same man who worked alongside Einstein and coined the term black hole, proposed an experiment that became known as Wheeler's delayed choice. The idea was this: imagine if you decided whether or not to observe an electron after it had already passed through the slit. The electron already made its choice, right? The moment already happened. Well, that's not how it works. When this experiment was actually tested, the result was exactly what Wheeler predicted. The decision to observe or not made after the fact retroactively altered the behavior of the particle, as if the past could be rewritten by a choice made in the present. Wheeler called this the participatory universe, and he spent the final years of his life arguing that the observer isn't standing outside, passively recording a reality that already exists. The observer participates in the creation of what they observe. He went even further and said that a universe without conscious observers wouldn't just be an unknown universe. It would be a universe that, in some fundamental sense, didn't fully exist. This isn't mysticism. It's what Wheeler published. It's what experiments have repeated. It's what physics is still trying to digest 100 years later. And there's a second mechanism pointing in the same direction: the quantum Zeno effect, discovered in the 1970s. It shows that an unstable particle, when observed continuously and intensely, stops disintegrating. Sustained observation stabilizes the system. It literally interrupts the collapse. Two distinct mechanisms arriving at the same conclusion. The observer isn't external to the system being observed. The quality of the observation, the intention behind it, the presence with which it happens, determines the behavior of the system. So what changes for you if you take this seriously? To understand this, let's step out of the lab for a moment and into things you've already lived. Think about a conversation where the other person was physically present but completely somewhere else, responding on autopilot, glancing at their phone, nodding along while you could feel their mind was elsewhere. You know exactly what that feels like, and you also know how closed off you became in that conversation, how much you left unsaid, how much you held back from being fully yourself, because somewhere underneath it all, you could feel that nobody was really there to receive what you had to give. Now think about a conversation where the opposite happened. The other person was completely present. No distractions, genuinely there, listening in a way you felt in your body. The difference isn't only emotional, though it's deeply emotional too. Research in neuroscience shows that when someone observes us with genuine attention, our oxytocin production increases, our heart rate regulates, and the part of the brain responsible for complex thinking activates in a qualitatively different way. The observer changed the biology of the observed without touching, without speaking, simply through the quality of their presence. Now, think about a project, a goal, an area of your life where you want to see movement, but things have felt stuck for a while. Have you truly been present in that area? Or have you been there physically while your attention was divided across 10 other directions? Think about the moments when you were completely there, no distractions, no part of your brain running elsewhere, and compare that to the moments of fragmented effort. The difference in what emerges isn't about effort or time, It's about presence, and that has a real mechanism behind it. And there's a third example that may be the most powerful of all. Think about a child, someone you know, or maybe yourself when you were young. When an adult looks at a child and genuinely believes in them, not performing encouragement, not being polite, but truly seeing something there, something in that child changes. And when an adult looks at a child and deep down doesn't believe, even without saying a word, something also changes. The child feels the quality of the observation, not the words, what's behind the words. This has a name in psychology. It's the Pygmalion effect, documented in dozens of studies since the 1960s. What you expect of someone, communicated through the quality of your attention, literally changes what that person is capable of becoming. 3 completely different situations, the same mechanism running through each one. I personally find this extraordinary. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with quantum physics and created this channel. To talk about exactly this and to help you watching right now. Leave a comment if this resonates with you. Your presence was never neutral. It never was. There's a study I want to share with you because it captures all of this in a way that no theoretical explanation can. Researchers followed elementary school teachers for an entire semester. And what they were measuring wasn't teaching methodology, wasn't the volume of content delivered, wasn't classroom hours. It was quality of attention. Specifically, when a teacher looked directly at a specific student, not at the class in general, but at that one person, and communicated through that look that they believed in them, how much did that change what the student produced over the course of the semester? Students who received direct, intentional attention showed measurable improvement not only in academic performance, but in self-confidence, in engagement, and in their capacity to persist when things got difficult. But the detail the study didn't expect to find was this. The students who improved the most weren't the ones who had the most verbal contact with the teacher. They were the ones who felt that the teacher believed in them. No motivational speech, no special technique. Just the quality of what the teacher was being when they looked at them, and what that look communicated in silence. Simply the way of observing changed everything. Wheeler called it the participatory universe at the subatomic level. What this study shows is that the same principle operates in any system where there is a conscious observer. Sometimes what changes everything isn't what you do. It's simply the quality of what you're being while you look. If this kind of content, where quantum physics and human experience genuinely meet, resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is exactly what we're building here, one reflection at a time. Now that you've understood this paradox playing out in real examples, I want to give you a 3-step protocol you can test today. This isn't meditation. It isn't visualization. It's a real experiment where you are the scientist and your own life is the laboratory. Step 1. Identify the area. Think of an area of your life where you want to see movement. A relationship, a project, a situation that has felt stuck. Now answer internally without overthinking. Have you truly been present in that area? Or have you been there physically while your attention was somewhere else? Just observe. 10 seconds, no judgment. Step 2, change the quality of your observation. In the next 24 hours, choose one single moment in that area to be completely present, not for longer, with more quality. No phone, no part of your brain planning something else, just your full attention directed there. The electron changes its behavior when observed with precision. You're going to test whether the same is true for what you're observing in your life. Step 3. Notice what shifts immediately. Not the result weeks from now. What shifts in that specific moment? How the conversation changes, how the task changes, how you feel differently inside it, how what you're observing responds to the quality of your attention. The observer effect doesn't operate over weeks. It operates in real time, and you'll feel it if you're present enough to notice. 1 experiment. 24 hours. The personal data you collect will tell you more than any explanation I could give you here. Every moment you spend in divided attention mode is a moment where your observer effect is fragmented, and systems with fragmented observers produce fragmented results. Not because you're less capable, but because you're operating below your real capacity to influence what's around you. Niels Bohr said something that most people hear as philosophy, but that he was saying as applied physics. Reality does not exist independently of observation. If that's true at the subatomic level, and the experiments of Young, Wheeler, and dozens of others confirm that it is, then the question isn't theoretical. It's completely practical. What in your life is waiting for the right quality of observation to begin moving? Because it's probably not waiting for more effort, and it's not waiting for more time. It's waiting for you to actually show up. Before we close, I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually pause for a second before you answer. In which area of your life do you know honestly that you haven't been truly present? No explanation needed, just the name of the area, 1 or 2 words in the comments. Because the first step of the observer effect is recognizing where the observation is missing, and sometimes naming it, even here in the comments, is already the beginning of something. To help you go deeper into all of this, I created a practical ebook for people in a transition phase who want to apply this kind of knowledge in everyday life. Not just understand it as a concept, but have a real guide for how to use it. It's in the description and pinned comment. I created it because I needed this map, and it didn't exist when I needed it most. Maybe it can help you if you're in that place right now. If you made it here, the video appearing on your screen right now isn't a random suggestion. It's the next reflection, the next layer of what we're investigating together on this channel. Every video here is built as part of a continuous frequency, an investigation into where quantum physics and human experience genuinely meet. Click the video on the screen and continue this journey with me. I'll see you in the next reflection.